Morning, everyone. All right. So, depending on what we're looking at, we got wide trading range here on the Qs, big gap up in NVIDIA, kind of saved the day for there was going to be any test of the 50 MA on the Qs there as they were coming down. They held that gap. And on the gap up, as I thought over the weekend, why did all these other markets gap up unrelated to being a semiconductor stock or an AI thing? But because everything is going to be AI sooner or later. Um, something I saw last night. It was last night or the night before. Interview. This guy Joe Rogan interviewing this fella that's into quantum computing. I think that's what it was. Anyway, and he was saying, yeah, AI is it goes out there and it gets information and it basically puts it together. It's a software. It's a piece of software. Well, while it's good, you know, it's not really what it's cracked up to be, so to speak. He said quantum computing is hardware. And he said once they put those two things together, it'll be, I guess, what people think the future, yeah, as they merge, that's what, I guess the big future thing is like merging quantum computing and AI knowledge. Um, which is, he said, basically is like, you've got information here, here, and here, and it goes out and takes it, puts it together. You ask it a question, which we know, and it can be right, it can be wrong. It does some good stuff, but it's the beginning of a futuristic thing that got a long way to go. All right, so the gap up, and then next gap up on Friday into the pivot on the Qs got sold into here this morning. Came off at a low. It was would not be a big deal based on where it closed, but testing the low and buyers showed up again, and it's up there a little bit. So with all this economic data coming out there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, could be on hold. I mean, we've had these thoughts before. Hey, news is coming out on such and such a day, and maybe nothing's going to happen, but it didn't work out that way. And maybe it will this time since we've had this move last week. But in the prior times, the markets ripped into the data. And then they kind of slowed down and did their wiggles. But, since they had such a substantial move on Thursday and then follow through to a bit on Friday, maybe we are going to be kind of a back and fill until all that data starts coming out, primarily on Wednesday with the GDP growth and sales, and you can look at whatever else is there, and Thursday and Friday, and all of these Fed guys are going to be talking. So it's going to be a pretty news-filled week as we get into it. Yeah, PCE, there's some oil stuff coming out, Michigan sentiment. So it's going to be a big week, and which will lead to, people, hey, you know what, based on such and such, they'll be able to lower interest rates or not. So we'll see how it goes. Retailing looks great. I love that it moved up on Friday versus moving on Thursday with everything else, and then it closed above these pivot highs. It's got a nice rounding bottom. Other things do, but the consolidation, it participated some extent last week. So there's some retailing stocks that really look like they can go higher. They have room to go higher if you look to the left. So that looks great. Semiconductors, right? giant gap up. They were underperforming for a while. Monster gap up, cleared all the highs. Weekly's in an uptrend, maybe consolidate a little bit. Maybe comes in here a little bit, but that suggests it's going to go higher. It looks fantastic. Tech broke down. Palo Alto, I think, was the primary culprit there with that giant gap lower. And then NVIDIA ripped it back the other way. So trading range, it'll be interesting to see what this happens here, but wide and whippy, but trading range, pivot high, you had the pivot low, it broke below, didn't close below, came back up, kind of just a mess. Yeah, software text report this week. In the letter, I listed some things that are going to be reporting, those that are subscribers. In the letter before last, I said, hey, what things look like, we got this heads up warning from the internals. Markets came down a little bit, waiting for the Fed, FOMC minutes, and NVIDIA, turn things back around. I said we need to see financials hold up. They held up beautifully. Little tiny pullback and then up and away. They stalled on Thursday. The weekly looks great. Look at the monthly. Just to look to the left. It's coming up, 42-ish, give or take. So that's got room to move higher. It's a nice daily trend. You've got your major support, minor support, and so far continue to go higher. Spiders. Daily, weekly. Right. So we got a new high. We got a major support level. Brought that up there. As long as it stays above there, the trend is up. Ideally, no deep retracements down there. If it does come down there, we've got a wide range bar on the weekly chart. So increased momentum. And you can just on the daily chart, you don't want to see it come down to major support because that's a deep retracement. You don't want to see it close underneath it. And more importantly, you've got all these three bars here with relatively the same lows. So if we were to get a red bar this week, clearly that would be bearish, but there's more support clustered together here, not just one wide range bar. Good thing is there's another level of major support down here. So the, kind of I don't know, you got this congestion and then this little deeper pullback. And the idea is that you don't have this giant void down below, which is a good thing. Meaning if you break one support level, there's another support level. There's little, if you call it, make the analogy of a wall. Yeah, there's sections where there's bricks missing out of the wall, but then there's a pretty decent section of bricks down below. So thing is, you really do not want to see this ideally accelerate higher this week, because the further you get away from that major support and these moving averages, the greater the probability that there's going to be a pullback. And then you have the void and the pullbacks are likely to be deeper. Kind of a mention, looking at this is, kind of like it's measured moves that we talk about. It was started there. It had a run, there was the red bar. And now we got a wide range bar. And historically, that's one piece of information that says, maybe you're close within a bar of a turn. So we'll see how that plays out. Interest rates are not doing anything. Pretty much everything's on hold. It was interesting that they did have a dip on Friday. I don't know why, but they did dip down. The 10-year dipped, the 30-year dipped, didn't break any support. It's still hanging up here. So just to mention, thought it was a little unusual all of a sudden that it had the size of the dip that it did. The 5-year held there. The 13-week kind of inched up a little bit more. So the width, the spread between long and short-term interest rates got a little wider. Markets haven't cared much about that lately, but I suggest you set an alert just to be aware if this does start going up, because I think it's a little unusual, why it would start going up and everybody's thinking the Fed's going to lower interest rates. So, SPX kind of tight, day to day, it's just been staying inside the strikes that we look at. I don't know about today. I mean, that's real tight. What's going to push the markets up early this morning? I have no idea. I think it could wiggle around here. It's a little extended, so the gap up and then the little gap up in the consolidation, but that is not far away at all. To come all the way back down here, the 50-50 strike, and especially if the markets sell a little bit, you can get below 50-50. I think it'll be as close to a no-brainer as you're going to get, because I believe there will be buyers on dips, because there shouldn't really be any aggressive selling ahead of that news, I think. And you've got this minor support on the 60-minute chart right here, and then you get into this gap area somewhere in there. So we'll see. 50-50 is right there. This just, as I was thinking, that was right here because I had this green line, but I mean, it's tight either way. It's just not in my comfort level. But if we were to get some kind of a move, by 10 o'clock, maybe down or up, then we can pick a point further away. That's the way I would look at it. Transports didn't do anything, hardly anything. I mean, they come up a little bit off of the support, I guess, regardless of NVIDIA move. They bounced off of a technical support level and stopped there, but they've been doing nothing. The Russell, I think, did even less. Just slop. It looked great and came down. That's doing a lot of nothing. Bitcoin's still hanging up there so far. Little rounding top. I believe there'll be buyers on pullback. There isn't much support, so there's no pivot created yet. The way this is forming, you see the hourly chart, just a sloppy mess. So, buyers stepping up, others waiting for pullbacks. And gold, just a lot of nothing still. Seems like it's been forever. You can see the weekly bars are kind of getting a little tighter. Maybe that suggests something's going to happen. We'll know when we know. Silver doing absolutely nothing, continues to do absolutely nothing. Crude oil, and that dropped on Friday. So, interest rates dropped and crude oil dropped, and USO it has more gaps, but anyway, you look at these charts and this is just this indecision. Sometimes traders, that may have been buying this, holding it up here, expecting to go up, get impatient, and so that they sell. But we'll see what happens. There's a bunch of oil numbers coming out this week, and not today. But tomorrow there's API crude oil stocks that's at the end of the day, the market will be closed. So anyway, and then there's gasoline stocks on Wednesday. We'll see what happens, but I think it's pretty much a wait and see early in the week here, and I mean the fireworks should start. So, all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, Mondays are usually busy for me with a ton of new ideas, open positions, but I actually don't have any alarms going off. So it's with the market flat, it's going to be a lot slower than no barrage here. So Greg, talking about your USO, we actually have this as a long watch in the ETF letter, but we wanted a closing breakout. So we got that on Thursday. And then we could have started accumulating over the high then. And look what happened. So we dodged a bullet by that strategy. And the Dow and Amazon now, did I lose my gap? Yep. Replacing WBA. But these things move ahead of time. Up a little bit. Walmart had a 3-for-1 split and it's up a box. So pre-split, last week, that would be a $3 gap. So those are both getting a little pop here. But yeah, they say more affordable, but you know what, Robert? How many stocks are incredibly expensive? So I would not call the $180 stock unaffordable. I mean, I'm just staring at the Dow, we got the Chipotle's and et cetera. I'm just glancing at the Dow. Goldman is 391. Home Depot is 373. McDonald's 299. Microsoft 411. Visa 284. Cream, so I don't, I'm not in their board meetings, but I don't think they did that to make it. Who knows? I don't know. All right, and then we had Uber being added to the transportation, but we knew that a while ago. So that got its pre run on that. And I only have one alarm going off. We have a ton of new alarms, so mostly on the bullish side, a couple shorts, but more bullish. And I like that they're not triggering. This one over Friday's high, I gave as a naked put, 77.5. So that's good to go out of the gate if we get filled, because we're only going to get filled on a pullback. Let's see, let's go up to earnings as always, but I have a monster watch list. Here, this, here's earnings stocks. All right, this 62, it's in the middle of no man's land, no pattern. LI, that's a big gap. It's an ADR, it looks like. An excessive gap. Peg, no gap, no pattern. Kispy, what is this? Kispy. What are I looking at all these dots here? That is strange. I have no idea what's going on there. Domino's, people liking their pizza. That was a bullish trading range. Remember, Greg, we considered the 400s. And Sam chickened out, talked me out of it. So there wasn't enough juice. Elon, 15. It's a bearish gap, leaving all that as resistance. All this is support. So what do we got? Trading range. But trading range is not a tradable pattern. Had this open flat, this would have been a good buy setup. bullish weekly monthly, but gap messed it up. AMR, for those of you trading in the 90s with me, this used to be American Airlines, AMR. Talking about expensive stocks, here we go again, 409 bucks. It's bullish, all time frames, but no pattern. This thing up 15 bucks, excessive gap, but bullish. Segri, sloppy but bullish gap. Tree 90. Wow, that's a big gap. $20 gap. Wow. Cost down a little bit, no pattern. Gapping down, no pattern. All right, so nothing of interest. Lift, I'm watching to see if he'll make the turn here. You know, from the move to here, hit better. You know, you can see it better in the weekly here, the retracement. Needs to try to make a turn here. Cars, a Climo for a put spread. W Whiskey. You know, McGraw gave me this idea over the weekend. He said, Dan, you can go out to January and, you know, do the math, but you can sell a January 35 puts for like $3.50. That is, it just seems amazingly high to me. Like they're pricing this thing for, you know, depression. So I want to keep an eye on it. Fleur, put spread idea, Friday's high. This is, you know, this was a Climo, but this, you know, we're always talking about turns in the patterns that we trade, and particularly Climos because they're counter trend. We're looking for a potent reversal bar or a retest, and this is potent. It's range expansions, bottoming tail, engulfing. So that for short-term bottom looks fantastic. That's why we have it as a put spread idea. Vacation, we actually were short the $75 puts on this into earnings. Had a nice gain. Now it's a 1, 2, 3. I just wish this identical pattern was closer to the 20 because it's bullish weekly, monthly too. Ka is a 1, 2, 3. You know, kind of doesn't look like it, but it is. Wide range bar, inside bar. I just like the inside bars being red, because then it's a little bit of a continuation shock. RMD making the turn on the daily weekly. Vanian is one of the weak housing stocks. Well, weak in the sense of it broke down from a topping pattern, whereas the others are still strong. LMT, if it had a bigger right shoulder, then it would be an inverse head and shoulder, but still bullish price action, downside shakeout, put spread idea. Garmin, you know, earnings ripping. It's just strong, but no swing pattern for me. ETD, breakout, watch, GIII. That's strong all time frames. Akamai, another Climo if it gets above on Friday's high. Riot. I like this pattern because it's a failed buy setup. Made a new low. You know, if you were to go to an hourly chart, you would see support right here. On these, you got 3 opening prices here from 3 days. And then bottoming tail. So if it can muster its way back up above Thursday, I like that as a put spread. Brothers here, 180. This broke out. HLMN. Let's see if it can chop around another day or two. BTOG made the turn. The turn started with this 180. Now you have another 180 Thursday, Friday. Summer, kind of an inverse head and shoulder. Just set an alarm up there. GTX, beautiful daily, weekly, monthly. I love these patterns that go sideways into the top half of the WRB. Look at that. Yeah, bottoming tails there. Remember, the tail was red at the low of the day, right? And so then they close at the high, means you got beautiful demand there. And it's been resting 5 days. That's a great pattern. Now this already broke out. Watch a pullback. Keys. Sell setup, but these are power bars. I don't expect it to make a new low, but might give us a swing trade. CHRW, kind of a pseudo 1-2-3. This is what we call a bullish new low divergence. Got killed, breakout failure, made a new low, but didn't go. The new low was not very significant from the prior ones. So that's a form of bottoming pattern. NUS, Climo, ALB, bottoming pattern. AMD is trading range. Trading range. You can see the flag here on the weekly. That's not a bad day trade. Set up right there on the 15. Twilio, Climo, Illumina. Kind of a breakdown. And Baba, if it can get above Friday's high, put spread idea. ACN looks great. Daily, weekly, monthly are all strong. Dove breakout. See how many bullish patterns there are. Golf Tango. You can start off with a day trade short in this. This is a pretty big move off the low, deep into this, so I don't expect a new low, but that's a beautiful day trade short. Looks like it's gapping down a few pennies. Short 5-minute low. I'll put that right here. Golf Tango. Cubana. I'd wait maybe 10 minutes because this one's more wild, but there's a day trade, beautiful day trade short candidate. Let me put that in the bottom right. NUE breakout. Adobe 180 after a Climo, put spread idea. And that we talked about. Charlie. So these I think are Aichis now. I wrote down Charlie Echo. Or maybe not. Maybe you're down a little more. But I got an alarm up here at 150. Yeah, these are not yours yet. I got these were Greg's in the weekend letter. All right, Goldman broke out after a breakdown, but nothing to do yet. Charlie Echo alarm just went off 151. Let's watch that. All right, Humana, I see gapped up a little bit, so set an alarm at 362 and change. I'll do it. 362.50. All right, so let's put Charlie Echo here. Bottom right. ACN alarm looks great. That's a clean hit. I wish it didn't hit in the first 5 minutes, but it's a clean hit. So that's long. 377.98. We're talking about expensive stocks. There's another one. RGTI, Alex, you mentioned. I set an alarm on this. RGTI at 160. Big old W bottom. This is one of those, supercomputer things that we were talking about. Yeah, that's on my list. Yep, that's bullish. That's another one in the AI space. And Q's the most bullish here on the 5-minute chart Monday morning. So I see Netflix popping, Tesla popping, Amazon popping. Oh, Golf Tango. Look, Golf Tango. Golf Tango's a go for short day trade. Sell setup. Coin up alarm. This was a put spread idea. So that's good to go if filled. Adobe. Here you option traders got to help me. Here's coin. Adobe. These both went off. I will check. Coin 155, 145. Midpoint right now 72, so we're not going to get filled. Humana low alarm. That was a day trade short idea.